So we'll have 2 hours of Yoga Sutra, and then we will take a break for 15 minutes and we'll return for Gita. Dhyanamulam gururamurti pujamulam gurupadam mantramulam gururvakyam mokshamulam guru kripa mokshamulam guru kripa. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Normally there is a tradition to chant a mantra before the beginning of any program or text in yoga, in meditation. So this verse comes from, there is a Gita known as Guru Gita. Think of it, and then once you get a feel of it, we will understand. So simple meaning, Dhyanamulam Gururamurti, the root of meditation is the form of a guru. The root of worship is the feet of the guru. The root of the mantra is the word of a guru, and the root of freedom is the grace of a guru. That is the meaning. Yes, the root of meditation is the form of a guru. That is the first line. Dhyanamulam gururamurti pujamulam gurupadam. The root of worship is the feet of a guru. The root of mantra is the word of a guru, and the root of freedom or awakening is the grace of a guru. Just think of it. So once you get a feel in what exactly it means, we will go into a deeper aspect of it. Is the guru has a form? One day I was sitting with the master and I said, what will happen if the guru dies? Oh, you mean to say if I die? And then he had a big laugh and he said, Guru never dies. Guru never dies. So the journey of yoga is a royal secret, and it is an open secret. What is the meaning? It is a royal secret, and it is an open secret. So when it is an open secret, so what is the fun of teaching? Why there are teachers? So only the seekers can receive the knowledge. And the seeker receives the knowledge from the teacher. So I'm leaving that part for you to think and contemplate and to find the essence. Yesterday we were talking about Eastern wisdom. So first 2 sessions I'll give a brief of the entire journey, and then we will start the Yoga Sutra, so that we have a very strong foundation of understanding, learning Yoga Sutra. So now you are clear that the Eastern wisdom, that is what it is. It is 3,000 years old, 6,000 years old, more than. And it has 3,000 texts and 3,000 teachers. Eastern wisdom, goal of Eastern wisdom is what? Self-discovery. What is that self-discovery? It is awakening, realization, transformation. That is very well presented in the Yoga Sutra. I also covered yesterday that the science aims at the discovery of the objective reality, and Eastern wisdom aims at the discovery of the subjective reality. I am teaching only on the basis of what our great masters have taught. I am simply a pointer. I am passing on that knowledge to you. So if your mind reacts and rejects, ask your mind, hold on, understand it, know it, and then reject the wrong notions about yoga. It is very important. So it is not that, it is only I that am teaching you. So once we understand, then another part that we have understood, that Eastern wisdom is that knowledge which helps us to study ourselves. And the science is that knowledge which helps us to study the nature, the world, the phenomena. What is not I am is the study of science. How to discover what is my true nature is the subject matter of yoga, meditation, etc., etc. Patanjali is known as the father of Eastern psychology. Why he is known as the father of Eastern psychology? He makes us understand the mind, structure of the mind, the function of the mind, the subjective states of the mind, the objective states of the mind, and how mind is the cause of suffering and how the mind is the cause of liberation. And the book is written for seekers. I made it very clear by one example that who is a seeker. Even if you go to a car dealer and you say, oh, let me try. Where is your driving license? Normal. And we have taken for granted, oh, let us do practice of yoga. Let us practice meditation. Are you eligible? Are you a seeker? Nobody asks. But in the tradition, only they say that if you are a seeker, you are qualified, you are eligible to treat the path of self-discovery, and then it will happen. Sutra. We say Yoga Sutra. Sutra literally means thread. There is another meaning. Sutra is like a formula of a chemistry. You know what is NaCl? Simple. What is NaCl? Sodium chloride. It is known as salt. But if I know the reference of that sodium and chloride and chemistry, then only I can say, yes, what you are talking about, it is a salt. Similarly, Sutra is also a formula. But we should know how to open those formulas. If I simply translate those sutras into English and then I say I have understood it, it will not work. And that has created a lot of wrong notions around these Yoga Sutra. There is a Yoga Sutra, there is a Sankhya Sutra. Yesterday I named another Brahma Sutra. There is a Narad Bhakti Sutra. There are many sutras. Sankhya Sutra, Sankhya Karika. Every sutra written by these great masters undergoes a very strong critical scrutiny by the great masters, contemporary masters. Every sutra must have a brevity. Why? What is that? It should be written in few words or a phrase. There should be no ambiguity. There should be vital points should be covered in that sutra. And every sutra has many facets, but each must have a valid meaning. Oh, we take it for granted. Take an example. Take an example of asana in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So you see there are 3 sutras that covers everything about asanas. First, what is asana? Sthir sukham asanam. 3 words only. Sthir sukham asanam. Motionless state of the body plus relaxation, poise, is known as asana. Why steadiness? Have we ever thought of it? Do we talk of steadiness in the physical exercise system? Lara says no. Kate says yes. And then another point he says, comfortable, relaxed. So relaxation pertains to the mind, steadiness pertains to the body. So it means all the asanas are of psychosomatic origin. I can go on. I'm just giving you one example. Now the master, the Patanjali says, what is the method of practicing the asana? And it revolutionizes. That is why he's a father of Eastern psychology. What he says? Prayatna shaithilyata ananta samapattibhyam. You will be learning how to chant these sutras, so don't worry, Brandy. Prayatna shaithilyata ananta samapattibhyam. Now see the literal meaning first. What is the method? Prayatna shaithilyata means by negating the very effort that causes the discomfort in the body. 1, avoiding the laziness, both are together. That is the meaning of the first 2 words. Prayatna shaithilyata and ananta samapattibhyam. It's a symbolic metaphor. What is that metaphor? That's a long story, I'll tell you later. But the meaning is that the mind should be absorbed into the infinite space at the time of doing the practice of asana. In physical exercise system, both are good, both have their different goals. Oh, stretch. Are you aware of these muscles? What Yoga Sutra says, are you aware of the mind that is absorbed into the infinite space? Different. We'll talk about it. So I just discussed about this sutra with reference to how the sutra is written. It should have a brevity, it should have a clarity, it should contain the vital points, it should have many facets. And no redundancies. Grammatically, it must be correct. That is the beauty of this sutra. Now every sutra must speak about the subject. It must raise a doubt. It must present an opposing viewpoint. It must explain the principle. Then only it becomes the sutra. And we take it so lightly. Can you take the chemistry formula lightly? What is H2SO4? Sulfuric acid. So how it has been, they have created this sutra. H2, 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of sulfur, 4 atoms of oxygen has become H2SO4. Now go on explaining. You can write minimum 10 to 15 pages on H2SO4. The same way, every sutra can be explained the same way. That is what we are going to study. I'm laying a foundation to make you clear. So what happens? Every sutra explains the subject. It raises the doubt. Why it raises the doubt? Like a geometrical theorem. Do you understand the geometry? They start with how to prove this is wrong or to prove this is right. So they raise a doubt and then they offer an opposing viewpoint and then they give an answer and ultimately the sutra is understood. 4 chapters of Yoga Sutra. These 4 chapters of Yoga Sutra are the 4 chapters of freedom. 4 chapters of awakening. 4 chapters of realization. Briefly, let me tell you. The first chapter is for the highest level of seekers. Those who are highest level of seekers, they understand that what it means by being a seeker. And the first chapter explains everything all about meditation, mindfulness. Why? Why it is for the highest level of seekers? The highest level of the seekers have not to undergo through the Ashtanga Yoga. Then there is another form of yoga, people miss it, Kriya Yoga. Now we have lot of misunderstanding about Kriya Yoga in our country. You know, any beard guy like me comes and whatever he says and you accept it. Why you should accept it? We should also think of it. We should ask the questions from the teacher. No, he is a great guy. He is today I'm wearing the orange colored cloth, I have long beard. He is a monk, so accept him. What he says. Why? Yoga never says accept blindly. So what it says, tapah swadhyaya ishwar pranidhanani kriya yoga in the second chapter. He says Kriya Yoga has 3 elements. So those who are not the highest level of a seeker, their mind is disturbed during the practice of meditation. They complain and blame about the mind, I am not succeeding. Then you come down to the second level, become a seeker. How you become a seeker? By Kriya Yoga in the first sutra of the second chapter. Tapah swadhyaya Ishwar pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. So what he says, Tapah, discipline and educate the mind. Learn how to discipline and educate the mind. Tapah swadhyaya, self-study. Observe your mind, understand your mind. And then Ishwar pranidhanani, offer your mind to the higher existence. What he says, now see that. What is the last limb of yoga? Samadhi. Samadhi, what is samadhi? Highest, deepest meditation. What is the result of the samadhi? The knowledge of the reality is revealed by Ashtanga Yoga. If you become bored early in the morning, tell me, raise your hand. I will change the topic. But if you are getting bored because of yourself, then you have to take care of yourself. That is what the Kriya Yoga is. That is what the Kriya Yoga is. Now see what he says. What is the result of Kriya Yoga? Samadhi, bhavanarth, klesh, karunarthascha. By the practice of Kriya Yoga, what happens? You get success in meditation and your sufferings come to an end. It is minimized. So first chapter, directly into meditation. Second chapter, first part, that is, you have a lot of challenges, problems in your daily life. So come on, understand this, Kriya Yoga. No, I don't know what to do, how to do, where to do. So follow the lowest level of seekers, Ashtanga Yoga, 8-limbed path of yoga. And we are making a lot of noise. What I teach, Ashtanga Yoga. So according to the master, yes, if you... According to the masters, this is what the understanding is. Yes, Kate.
So I had a question. Two questions actually. You mentioned two sutras, one in the first chapter and two were in the second. Can you tell us which sutras you mentioned that mention yoga?
The second chapter, first sutra, and the second sutra. First sutra of the second chapter is Tapaswadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga, he defines Kriya Yoga and then he defines the result. What is result? Samadhi, higher meditation. And then he explains, also it brings an end to the suffering. What is that suffering? What is that suffering? Do you have pain and pleasure, problems of relationship, anxiety, stress? It can be definitely, effectively managed. We'll understand, because, I'm not deviating myself, otherwise then klesh. So we have to understand. Klesh is a Sanskrit word which means suffering. So there are five stages of a klesha and the suffering. And that lives in the mind. So that mind is working on us. What is the role of yoga? Reverse it. What is reversing? Let I work on the mind. I am the master. I am the master and the mind is the servant.
Second question.
Yeah, second question.
You said that that Patanjali was the first or the primary psychologist or
father of Eastern psychology.
Eastern psychology. So then, but you also said that science, that scientists and yoga are different. One is after objective knowledge, one is after the subjective or the realization of the self. So then how would you explain to a psychiatrist or a psychologist that they're actually not a yogi?
They are definitely not yogi. Because the goal of yoga is to know the real self. Now, can you tell me any psychologist talking about the real self? Except there are some references, I would say, as far as I have studied modern psychology in my master, Robert Esaugiali, a German psychologist, who explains the principle of psychosynthesis. So in that psychosynthesis, he says, through the mind, through the outer activities, we have to create a positive center inside. So he has gone too far from yoga. What yoga says, we need not to create the real self. It is already within us. We have to discover. And that is our subjective reality. But Robert Esaugiali might have studied the Upanishads and the yoga, and he brought those principles into modern psychology, but he never wanted himself to be ousted from the mainstream psychology. So he said, okay, you have to create that center. We need not to create that center. Another way to understand in one of the beautiful texts, that is perhaps Atma Bodha, the master says there are only two things in the world. Only two things. One is I am. Other is I am not. So what is I am not is a matter. What is the characteristic of a matter? What is the characteristic of matter? Remote, I am holding you in my hand. Does the remote says I also know that you are holding me into your hand? Does the remote say? No. What is the characteristic of inertness? Two characteristics. That they do not know themselves and they cannot know others. What is I am? I know you and I can know myself also. Am I going little deeper? Confusing? Now, why he says that there is only two things? One is matter, that is non-self, and other is I am, consciousness, that is my true nature. Why he says this? Give me any example of the material world. They consist of the matter. Whether you talk of the smartphone, you talk of the house, your clothes, your electronic gadgets, or your anything in the world, including the body, the mind, the breath, they come under matter. And what is the second thing? That is consciousness. So whether you say it is individual consciousness, collective consciousness, transcendental consciousness, universal consciousness, there are only two things. Now ask yourself, science is the discovery, understanding of the material world, what I am not, and yoga, Eastern wisdom is the understanding and discovery of who am I. Clear? So we are there. That's a good question. We are laying. Let us lay a foundation a little bit. So, if I say what is yoga and its method, so that will make the things more clear. What is yoga and its method? What is yoga and its method? So you see that when we say the yoga is a science of self-discovery behind the body, mind, senses, intellect, and then I add there, what I add? That Eastern wisdom is an instrument of knowledge, or you can say yoga is an instrument of knowledge that discovers the real self. Can I see the stars through my electron microscope? So I have to understand which instrument is meant for knowing what. So you may have a telescope to see the stars. Can the telescope see your true nature? But it does not mean I am criticizing science. I have to understand, these instruments are meant for a specific purpose. Similarly, the Eastern wisdom is an instrument. Yoga is an instrument of knowledge to know my real nature. Clear? Laying a foundation. Now understand, working on the mind or mind is working on me. No, I don't feel focused, so let me grab a cup of coffee. Mind is working on you. I fidget during listening. Mind is working on you. You are crazy. You are responsible for my stress and suffering. Mind is working on you. No, I'm not saying that, but just an example. Mind is working on you. Entire goal of yoga, that mind, I will work on you from today. You should not work on me. I have realized if you are working on me, it causes the ignorance and it causes the suffering. All problems comes. Take it for granted. Understand that. Reflect on that in your life. The moment you have a problem, you have anxiety problem, you have relationship problem, you have violence, you have anger, blame, complaint. Mind is working on you. But mind is an instrument. It has become a master. Yoga teaches us, gives us hundreds of practices. How we can work on the mind. Feeling sleepy while listening, mind is working on you. We'll understand that. So just giving you the basic understanding in a simple way, then only we can go to the higher, each verse by verse, and we will understand. So maybe 1 or 2 or 3 sessions like this. Kim Jyotis. Kim Jyotis tava bhanu manahani me ratro pradipyadikam. Let me translate that English. It's a verse, it's again a mantra. Did we understand the exact meaning of the mantra yesterday? I covered that. Mantra that destroys the mind, means that destroys that mind which is causing the suffering. It does not mean the mantra destroys the mind, now I cannot speak. No, sometimes we take it, we can ask a wrong question. If the mind is destroyed, then how can I live? I'm not saying that. Sometimes you have to see the essence. So Shankara has written one couplet, one mantra. It contains 4 lines. That is what I started chanting. Kim jyotis tava bhanu manahani me ratro pradipadikam syadevam rapideepa darshanam vidhau kim jyotir akhyayahi me. So let us leave it. So it is in the form of a question and answer, this entire verse. Shankara has written it. It is known as one couplet, ek shloki. So let us understand that what he says. And he is asking the seeker who has recently attained the highest state of yoga. What is the highest state of yoga? Highest state of yoga is to do the headstand posture for 6 hours. We have to keep in mind. So what he says. Now see that master is asking a question to confirm. Come on, seeker, I have to check you whether you have reached there or not. So the master is asking the first question and first answer, and then we will find the answer given by the seeker. What is the knowledge that you receive from the senses? What is the light for you? Exact question is this. So I have changed that question to make you understand what is knowledge that you receive from the senses, or what is the light for you that helps you to see me and the world outside. What is that light? We forget. I claim I see you. We are in a virtual session. I have a computer. You have a computer. We are connected. That's how I see you and you see me. But the simple answer is, if the sunlight or if the light is not there, I cannot see you. You cannot see me. So perception through the sense organ depends on light. Depends on light. Clear? First question. To see the world of people, place, objects, we need instrument, that is sense organ, plus light, the medium. Whether it's electric light, sunlight, whatever it is. Clear? Now the second question. Master is asking, how do you see the sun or the lamp that gives you the light? Or I can rephrase the question, which light sees the sun and the lamp? Think of it. Light is there. If the eyes are not there, then eyes cannot, that eyes are not there, that I cannot see the light. It means the eyes are the seer of the light and the objects in the world. Clear? Without eyes, sun and the lamp cannot be seen. I cannot see you, you cannot see me. Clear? Right? Are you understanding? This is the entire journey of Yoga Sutra. That's why I have taken this verse from the Shankara. All 195 sutra covers in this one verse. So what is here? The point is, instead I should focus on you as an object. Let me focus my mind. Who is seeing you? Eyes as a sense organ are the seer and the knower. How can you have that in-depth psychology in modern psychology? No way. Now the third question. Who perceives and who knows all the sense organs? Tell me. Randy, don't get upset. I'm answering you, but think of it. What is the light when you close your eyes? That was the main question. So I am rephrasing it. Who is the seer of all the sense organs? Mind is the seer. You go inside the dark room and I ask you, go inside the dark room, find out who is there. You come back. Come on, you are crazy. It's totally dark. There is no one. Who is reporting to me that there is no one? You. So you have seen yourself in that darkness without the sense organs. How can you say there is no one? It's very deep. But it's very simple. I told you, it's a royal secret and it is an open secret. Get it? So now the intellect, now he says, who knows? I'm rephrasing. What is the light when you close your eyes? Because even after closing the eyes, you know you are there. Isn't it? Or you are lost. You know you are there. So it is the intellect is the light that by which I know that I am here. Clear? Clear? Now the last question. What is that light by which you see your intellect? It is the real self that sees the intellect. And when you are at the real self, you live into the mindfulness state. Awakening takes place. That is the goal of yoga. Then the master is saying, what is the ultimate truth? The ultimate truth is the real self, which is of the nature of the consciousness. If the consciousness is there, not there, the intellect doesn't work, the mind doesn't work, the sense organ doesn't work, the body doesn't work. It is because of the consciousness, body is enlivened. It is because of the consciousness, the sense organs are enlivened. It is because of the consciousness, the mind and the intellect are enlivened. That never changes. It is all-pervading. It is full of peace and happiness. That is the goal of yoga. Do you find this kind of a psychology in modern psychology? Modern psychology begins only when you say, I have anxiety, I am in depression, I cannot perform my work in my personal and professional life. When I go to my home, I always blame and complain. So doctor categorizes those illnesses and then they say. So it starts from when you are sick, physically, mentally. Yoga psychology begins when you are calm and relaxed and you are ready to discover the real self. So it means all the preliminary practices helps you to make you calm and relaxed. Means makes you a seeker. That is why in the first chapter, the master got rid of all the preliminary practices. I've got it? Yeah? I'm teaching only what is written in the text and how the traditional teaching works, not what I know. And whatever I know, it is from my master, the tradition. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vedyakena yupakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjali pranjali ranu tasmi. Let us praise little bit of Patanjali. Let us know little bit of who is this Patanjali. Yesterday we have understood we can only understand the sutra by the great commentators who have written commentary on Yoga Sutra. They were contemporary masters. So they verified and they validated what I have done, what I have written is correct or not. So we have a commentator of Patanjali who is Vyasa. The master commentator is Vyasa. There is another commentator who is known as, he was the king, King Bhoja. King Bhoj was another commentator, and there are other commentaries. So this verse was written by King Bhoj. They never wrote the commentary to become the best-selling author. We have to understand the mindset. There were hundreds of masters who have who did not care to write their authorship of thousands of the texts. When you study those texts, first time it is written, the author is unknown. But then we can make out the way he has written those verses. Oh, this master might have written this. That is the humility of those great masters. So this King Bhoj, what he says, that is in the verse, what he says. He says, I salute with my hands together to the great master Patanjali, who says, what he says, king says, he has given us the knowledge to remove the impurities of the mind through yoga, leading to inner peace, happiness, love and wisdom. Means, who has written? King Bhoja, Bhoja, King Bhoja. He has written a commentary, and the commentary book is known as Raj Martand. Raj Martand by King Bhoja. I am sending you the text. Raj Martand by Bhoja. So what he says, that is the beauty. He says Patanjali is one of the greatest masters. He authored Yoga Sutra to remove the impurities of the mind. And he wrote a great commentary on Sanskrit grammar to remove the impurities of speech. He is also the author of and he is also the author of one of the texts of Ayurveda to remove the impurities of the body, means to remove the impurities of and the sickness of the body. That is the meaning of. So you see the praise, why he praised, why he saluted, because you are a great genius. You are an Einstein of your time. You can say you are an Einstein of the time. Einstein is known as one of the greatest theoretical physicists. So the King Bhoja, now it is the King Bhoja, that author depicted the Patanjali in a symbolic form. Now understand what is the meaning of that symbolism. Abahu Purushakaram Shankra Chakra Siddharinam Sahasrasirisam Svetam Pranamami Patanjalim. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That is a very good idea. Now I got it. The more we start learning, the more. This is the verse, this is the English transliteration, and this is, so you can copy and paste. So what this King Bhoja says. King Bhoja says, you see, sometime there is a proverb, we say, what we say, the master of none, trade of all, something like this. We say something. What we say? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Master of none.
Yeah. So now reverse this. Opposite. He is the master of all the trades. So when you have master of all the trades, then what happens? Symbolically, how do you make understand? That is a symbolicum, metaphors used in our yoga tradition. So one metaphor is that if you are master of 5 trades, then symbolically you are shown with the 5 head. 5 head. So it does not mean that you have a 5 head. You are a human being. But if you start arguing, how he has a 5 head, so you are crazy. You do not understand. Simple. Wrong notion. So we have to understand it clearly. Now come to the Bhoja. So King Bhoja explained that Patanjali was a human personification of a supreme consciousness. He was such a great genius, none less than a great masters like Buddha. King Bhoja followed the traditional wisdom to explain the goal of human life is to move from ignorance to wisdom. Now understand that what King Bhoja explained, he says that the Patanjali is nothing like a supreme god, looks like or appears like a god, and he carries a conch. Do you know the conch? Conch. Yeah. One day I will bring the conch, and then we'll blow it. The daily blowing of a conch is considered for removing evils from the home. That is a traditional significance. So when you see Patanjali with a conch, the evils from the home are gone. Where the evils lives? In your mind. Again, main focus is on the mind. You're working on the mind or mind is working on you. Keeping conch at a sacred place is associated with prosperity. It is also associated with female fertility. What? So what happens? The conch is crushed into a powder in Ayurveda mixed with other herbs is used for female fertility. A herbal medicine is made from the conch, also used for healing stomach ailments, constipation, indigestion, and others. We have many herbal medicine like this. So there is a discus. You know discus? There is a circle and by which, you can find the image of Patanjali, so you will come to know. So that discus or a wheel is known as Sudarshan. Sanskrit word is Sudarshan. Sudarshan means right perception of the world and the existence. Sudarshan has 6 spokes and symbolizes a 6-petal lotus. It is equated with the shining, calm morning sun and removes ignorance and impurities. Then this Patanjali also carries a sword of knowledge that destroys the ignorance. But we can unnecessarily argue why he is keeping a sword when you say that he is a great meditator. So there is, I told you, metaphor, different metaphors are used. The sword in Sanskrit is known as khadag. Khadag means to destroy. What to destroy? The craziness of the mind, the laziness of the mind. You are listening to me and the mind says, no, I feel sleepy. Warn your mind. From today, never be crazy while listening to this beard guy. That is the khadag. That is the meaning of the sword. No, first I should listen with awareness to anyone. You see the symbolic significance of this. And once we do not, 1,000-petal snakes, now coming to the snakes. 1,000-petal snakes represent, what it represents? Timelessness in time. Means Patanjali lives into that timelessness in time. He is awakened. He is realized. Who is saying? The commentator. Who is the commentator? King Bhoj. What commentary he has written? The book he has written is known as Raj Martanda. I have already sent you the text. Patanjali is known as authors of the famous Yoga Sutra, Mahabhasya. His Sanskrit grammar text is known as Mahabhasya. And perhaps he simplified the versions of the most authentic text of Ayurveda, that is known as Charak Samhita. So he simplified it. He made it very simple. That is the beauty of Patanjali. We sometimes dig onto the Google that, let us find out, after all, how genius the Einstein is, what was his upbringing, and what he did. That is the way I presented one aspect of Patanjali. Now, another important fact. Patanjali is a codifier of yoga, not the originator of yoga. We should be very clear. Codifier. He codified all the principles of yoga, and that codification is known as Yoga Sutra. He is not the originator of yoga. The originator of yoga is Shiva and Krishna. That I will cover in the Gita. Now understand in a different way. Complete books are known as Shastra. Complete books are known as Shruti books. That I covered the word Shruti yesterday. Shruti covers two groups of text. Sutra and Upanishad, Vedas. So complete books, Shastra, they are known as Shastra. I'm not going deeper into that. Then we have covered what we have covered. We have covered Smriti books. Gita is a Smriti books. I have done the practice, and then I have these experiences. This is based on this principle. So hence the Smriti books. Clear? Then I also discussed about Bhasya. Bhasya means commentator. Without a commentary by the great commentator of any of these complete texts, I cannot understand. I cannot understand what yoga Patanjali is talking about. So we will cover, I will give you a brief of understanding. The first greatest commentator of Patanjali Yoga Sutra is known as Vyasa, Ved Vyasa, Bhasyakara. The second I will cover from Vijnana Bhikshu. Vijnana Bhikshu has wrote a great commentary on the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and I will also cover from Vachaspati. So, Master Bhoja, they are all great masters of yoga. Let me give you that idea on your text. So, there are more than 32 great commentaries on yoga. Why commentary? Because every commentary, sub-commentary, critical commentary explains each and every word. It gives a sense and a meaning what Patanjali conveys, not what I understand through my intellect. I may distort that knowledge, and I can become a best-selling author. So we will also pick up a critical commentary so that we can understand it clearly. I have already also discussed that if we understand the basic text, yesterday what I said, Patanjali Yoga Sutra is one of the greatest texts, so it is a complete text. So then comes the commentary. But before reading and studying through the commentary, I have to understand the basic text. What are the basic texts? I told you that great masters have written very basic tips. They have given the meaning, say, what is real self? What is mind? What are the 5 elements? We simply know that there are 5 elements. What exactly is the mind? How to understand and define the mind? How to define the real self? How to define the 3 bodies? So they have covered the basic text. So I will pick up the basics from those basic texts in understanding the Patanjali. Yoga is one of the 8 systems of Eastern Orthodox philosophy. No one exactly knows when the tradition of yoga started, and we will understand the very origin of yoga by the words of the originator Krishna in Gita. Later, yoga realizes that the human being is in transition. Yoga shows the path to transcend all the limitations, and that ultimately leads to self-discovery. What is this real self? The real self is of the nature of truth, pure awareness, permanent happiness. I am not deliberately using the word bliss. That I am translating that as a permanent happiness. You all know why I am not using bliss. If you find the dictionary of a meaning of the word bliss, they come down to a physical pleasure. Sometime, that is how, the way I am using, these great masters, during their period, they realize how to convey the essence so that nothing is misunderstood. Clear. Why to study, learn Yoga Sutra from commentaries by great masters? Are you clear about it? That is the reason we should understand the goal. I have already covered. Then yes. Now see that little bit of understanding of the commentator. Who is the highest commentator regarded of Yoga Sutra is known as Vyasa, Ved Vyasa, who has authored the entire principles and the knowledge of Eastern wisdom and yoga. Who became the commentator? So even who has created, discovered all the principles of yoga and the Eastern wisdom, who regarded Patanjali as one of the greatest masters. So when he read it, he said it is good to write a commentary. Do you see, the majority of the Upanishads are written by Vyasa, majority of the mantras are written by Vyasa, and now he has also written a commentary on Vyasa. Can we please take a 3 to 5 minutes break? Yes, we can take 5 minutes break. No problem. Let us take a break and then we will come back.